Hey guys, this is FPV here, back out with another video, and today's video is going to be very, very controversial. It's opinion based, so if you want to dislike it, go ahead and dislike it. Won't hurt my feelings. I mean, if you're bored because it's kind of rant style and kind of unedited, you can click off. That won't hurt my feelings either. But let's get started. So today's video is kind of a PSA, a buyers beware kind of video. For those of us who are enthusiasts in the specter or in the range of or in the field of FPV drones, know exactly what this is and what this has to offer, and most of us will not buy it. But I'm here to talk to those who don't exactly know what this is and what exactly this is meant for. I'm here to talk to you because this is confusing. Okay, DJI drones are most known to have like super steady quads that kind of flow in the air and get super smooth panoramic kind of footage at super high altitudes and everything. It's great. Like, it's great in terms of range, in terms of video quality, in terms of stability. It's a great they make great cinematography equipment. And in my opinion, in my eyes, that's what this is. I don't believe you can say this is a true FPV drone, because the true FPV spirit is you fly it, you risk it, you crash it, you fix it. Okay, you can't quite fix it. You can't quite fix this. Okay, Joshua Bardwell's video, if you want to watch, I'll put the link to that in the description. He made a great video about what exactly this is, and he flew it around for a bit, crashed it, broke an arm almost immediately. And he can't fix it, even though he's a genius at what he does, at making FPV quads and everything. He can't fix it because these are proprietary parts that DJI provides, and proprietary parts that you have to send your quad into DJI to get fixed. That's point number one. That's like my primary gripe with this quad, is that you have to send it in to DJI, pay the extra money for a warranty or something to get it fixed. If you're flying this DJI FPV drone in the mode that most people who are FPV enthusiasts would fly, which would be the hands-off, like super hands-off ACRO mode, which is what we call it. We call it ACRO mode, which is a mode where you can fly and make this do anything that it wants to do. Turning is super difficult because you use both the sticks at the same time. It's a very hands-off and very manual experience when you actually fly true FPV ACRO mode, which this does offer, which is great if you're not a beginner to FPV. And if you are a beginner to FPV and you go toggle onto that mode, you will crash this, you will break it, and you will be very sad you spent $1,300 on an FPV quad. This video is kind of unorganized, so if I talk about a certain topic twice, please forgive me. So the next thing I want to talk about, and the thing that you probably are wondering as a beginner into the world of FPV flying, is this beginner friendly? No, it's not. It's not beginner friendly. It may be beginner friendly if you consider the fact that it has an angle mode, but so does a custom built FPV quad or a pre-built quad that Rotor Riot or other companies make for you. Those all have the same kind of handicap mode as well. Sure, it won't float midair or have cruise control, but it will give you that FPV spirit with a little bit of handicap if you're a beginner. This thing is not beginner friendly in my eyes. It's hard to say those words because this is marketed towards as kind of an entryway into the world of FPV. True FPV is flying an ACRO, risking things, really getting close to things and constantly crashing your quad. In my eyes, that's the spirit of FPV, and you can't do that with this because you crash it, it will break. Our quads are made out of carbon fiber most of the time, and carbon fiber is a pretty hard and lightweight substance. This thing is made of plastic, and Joshua Bardwell flew it for a little while, and he's a great and spectacular flyer, and he broke it. Like, he broke it on his first flight. It's just hilarious in my eyes that they're even though the price point of $1,300 is relatively fair in my eyes, they're marketing it towards a gateway into FPV, but it it's not a gateway into FPV. It's a gateway into a lot of mental pain because let's say you decide to, as a beginner. Okay, let's go through an example. Okay, I'm a beginner. I usually fly DJI Mavic drones. I want to buy a DJI FPV drone. That's $1,300. Okay, I have the money for it. $1,300. I go out and buy this. I have a great time flying it in the normal mode, which is the mode that most Mavics fly at, like the normal hovering Mavic mode. Okay, I don't know why you would buy a DJI FPV drone to fly it in the normal Mavic mode where it floats in midair. That defeats the purpose of buying this. Okay, first and foremost, that defeats the point of buying this. You have to fly it in normal angle mode or ACRO mode. Okay, that's my opinion, but I think you should only be flying this in angle or ACRO mode. Okay, so let's go back to the example. I fly this in normal floaty mode and hover mode, and it's great. It flies great, spectacular, right? I'm like, okay, let's try. I see these videos of people doing flips and rolls and super cool stuff. Let me switch it into angle mode. Suddenly, it's a little more difficult than you think. Okay, it's a little more difficult, but you also have a handicap. You're like, why can't I do a flip? Why can't I do a roll? Why can't I make this go super fast by angling it super forward and everything that I see in these YouTube videos? Then you flip it into, or you find Joshua Bardwell's tutorial to go into the low-key kind of difficult way to actually activate ACRO mode. You turn on ACRO mode, you fly it, you don't realize how manual ACRO mode really is, and you crash it and you break it, and then you're sad because you can't replace any of these parts by yourself. And you're out $1,300 for a week or two until these things get fixed. I feel like there's going to be a very long wait list on DJI's part with how many people are going to be breaking this thing. I think there's going to be a long line of people who bought this to have a great time, have a fun time, and they end up breaking it, send it in to get it fixed, and they probably won't get their quad back for a few, like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, I bet, in the beginning, because how many people who buy this break this and want to get it fixed as soon as possible. So then you're out of quad. Then you're out of that FPV experience that you really so badly wanted. So now let me talk to you about a second example of someone who did proper research into the world of FPV, didn't really buy into the low-key shilling. I'm not saying people are shills. I'm just saying some people kind of get too hyped about a product and not really explain what it's intended for. So tech tubers, let's say they unbox such a thing, they show it off, it's great and everything, but you're a little more cautious. Okay, let's say you're a little bit more cautious. You see my video because you decide to Google or YouTube search why I shouldn't buy such a thing, and then you look into the world of FPV. You realize that it's not all peaches and cream. You see people crashing, and you're kind of skeptical as to how I would want to spend $1,300 on a quad, goggles, and a controller, and potentially crash it. And then you see, like, let's say Joshua Bardwell, who's an FPV pilot and great YouTuber. You see his video on the DJI FPV system, and you're like, oh great, look, a cool actual FPV YouTuber who unboxed and talked about what this is, an FPV drone. And then you see him crashing and breaking it, and then you're like, oh okay, whoops. Let's look more into what FPV is. Then you see that there are multiple videos out there on how to start FPV for under $300 or under $200. And then you look at, okay, maybe you just kind of want to step forward and get a 5-inch quad about the same size as this drone, and then get that quad and want to try FPV. You see you can probably do that for under $500. You can probably get a 5-inch quad, goggles, and a controller, all linked up, for about $500. That's what I started at, and I still crash to this day pretty often. But that's those two examples should kind of give you an idea as to what's going on in my mind when I think about how this is advertised to beginners. who don't quite know what FPV is, because you're buying this to have the FPV experience. And the FPV experience is doing things that you cannot do with a DJI Mavic, which hovers in the air and does yaw turns, and that's about it. It goes up and down and then yaw turns, which is like rotating like on the x-axis, kind of just rotating around. It does moves like that. But you want a more flippy floppy, cool, dynamic and versatile experience. That's why you buy a DJI FPV drone. You give me or someone more capable or more knowing about FPV, you know what I mean, like an enthusiast, this quad, and they can show you what it's capable of. For those of you guys who are new to this or really want to know more about this FPV quad, there are various other videos out there, but I suggest you watch the videos that are made by FPV flyers, not tech tubers, not normal quad flyers, like normal hover quad flyers. I suggest you look at more videos of actual FPV pilots, because they'll tell you their true opinions on these things, and they won't shill out just to, make the product sell a little bit more, which I'm not saying a lot of people do, but there are people who do that. If you see videos of people flying this thing like amazingly and beautifully, they are flying it really well, but they have lots of experience. And the way you fly a true FPV quad is in ACRO mode, and ACRO mode takes forever to learn how to actually fly properly. So people like Cold on YouTube, he knows how to fly FPV quad pretty well. I saw his video. He knows how to fly this quad very well, very nice and smooth and cinematic-y and beautifully. He knows how to fly it really well. And if you're such a beginner and really see that DJI branding, and then you see FPV and you're like, whoa, that quad does something that I've never seen before, and you go out and buy one, and then you switch into that special mode that allows it to do those things, you're gonna crash, because ACRO mode is nothing like normal DJI controls. Okay, I think that those two examples and my little anecdotal examples, I guess, kind of sort of explain what my thought process is for why I think beginners should not be touching this quad. I get why they advertise it as a beginner friendly quad, or why people have been saying it's a beginner friendly quad, because it has the angle mode, which it's basically a handicap, so you can't flip it over and crash it super easily. It'll still crash, but it won't crash super easily. That's what I'm saying, like it super easily. Like, this thing doesn't have sensors either. It has sensors, but it doesn't have auto stop sensors. According to Joshua Bardwell's video, if I watched it correctly, it doesn't have sensors that'll make it stop in front of a barrier. It'll slow it down, but if you keep throttling forward, it will crash into whatever it is. That's not the same as a Mavic. A normal DJI Mavic won't crash because it'll stop. Or it'll really slow down and prevent you from hitting the obstacle. Okay. Also, this thing flies significantly faster than a normal Mavic. I think the fastest Mavic, Mavic Air 2, flies at I think max speed was 36 miles an hour. This thing can fly up to 97 miles an hour if I believe if I think I know what I'm saying. I believe it goes up to like 97 miles an hour, which is very fast. Okay, that's very fast. All right, I stand corrected. Not 97 miles an hour, 140 kilometers per hour. That's about like 85, 86ish miles an hour, which is way faster. Double the speed, more than double the speed that you're used to as a normal DJI pilot. Okay, what you're getting yourself into is a great quad. Okay, in my eyes, this is a great quad if you know how to use it. This is a great quad if you're not a super beginner into the world of FPV and you know how to use an FPV quad to get what you want, like to get the angles that you want and make it do the cool things that you want it to. Okay, if you're a beginner, I suggest you do your research. Don't completely take my word for it, because you could be a prodigy at FPV. You know what I mean? And I could be steering you towards the wrong direction. But if you're a beginner, highly consider not buying this as your entry way into FPV. Okay, as a beginner, I highly suggest you do a lot of research into the world of FPV, and then work your way up into this. Okay. And that's my opinion on beginners. Also, secondly or thirdly, I don't know. I'm kind of losing track. I'm just talking at this point. Another point I want to make: DJI FPV quad. This is not a freestyle quad, not a racing quad. It's strictly, in my eyes, a cinematic quad that you risk not crashing as often, and a long-range quad that you also risk crashing not as often, because it does have great long-range capabilities and everything, like spectacular flight time, actually 20-minute flight time, which is really great. But this is not a freestyle quad. For those enthusiasts who know what I'm talking about, freestyle and racing and stuff, this is not that, because this, you crash it, it's gonna break. You want to use this if you intend on buying this and you're like an enthusiast and you intend on buying this, intend on using it for more slow and methodical flying, rather than just freestyling and going crazy with it. Okay. So that I really don't need to touch on that topic that much. Most of you guys know that. So yeah, that's it. That's my rant. I hope I didn't trigger too many people. I just don't think, I think if you listen to my opinion all the way up to this point, I think it's been like 20 minutes. I appreciate it. And I value that you listen to what I had to say, even though you may not agree with it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want more content about FPV, please do subscribe. Because I have a budget quad build, which is gonna be my next video. This video was unexpected. I wasn't planning on actually making a video like this. So my next video is legitimately gonna be the budget build. Okay, so if you want a good budget FPV quad to build yourself, if you know how to solder, or if you want to learn how to solder, then I have a spectacular build coming out soon. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.